asked Alexis to come and talk to us about how to teach our kids at home when we're really not teachers and didn't sign up for that. And, she's getting to teach her kids at home, too. I've kind of come to the conclusion that, if I was the one in charge, I'd say school is out till next fall.
There is a meme going around saying hashtag everybody graduated. I might have shared it.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot for all of us in a time when everything is new. And I was telling Todd yesterday, our son, that, this is the first time in the history of the world, in my opinion anyway, that everybody is experiencing the same thing and everybody's talking about the same thing. And you can't turn on your TV or talk to a friend or anything that isn't the topic of conversation. And I think it's important to be informed, but I feel that I am totally inundated with enough information to last me for a long time. And so I have decided to put my face more in the Word. And can you look up Philippians 1, verse 9 and 10? I think it's what I was reading this morning, and read that. I'm sorry, I was going to bring my phone in and do that. But I thought it so applied to this time that we're in right now, and I took it as a word from God. And Philippians 1, 9 and 10, I believe. I did not exactly, this is called law, flying by the seat of your pants.
This is in the Amplified.
Okay, well, you read it. Can you do it to the New Living Translation so it'll be saying the same thing?
Yes, ma'am.
It was just so good and talked about, we could apply this to this virus right now. Okay, if you would read 9 and 10, please.
Philippians 1, 9 and 10. I pray that your love will overflow more and more, and that you will keep on growing in knowledge and understanding. For I want you to understand what really matters, so that you may live pure and blameless lives until the day of Christ's return.
And I read that, and I just sat and pondered and meditated and prayed. But this is a time that we can learn what really matters. And it is to love. We are to walk in love. And people are watching. Your kids are watching, but your community is watching. The world is watching to see what Christians are going to do. And this is a time for us to step back and go, wait a minute. What really does matter? And what matters isn't the things that we put so much value on before this. It's not our clothes. It's not our house. It's our Jesus, it's our health, it's our family. That's what matters. And we need to back up enough during this time that we are looking at what really does matter and focusing on that and appreciating that and not all this other wood, hay, and stubble. And I just really feel like those scriptures were a word to me in relation to this pandemic.
That's very good.
Just we need to be loving, and we need to step back and look at what really does matter. And I think that that's one of the many good things that Romans 8:28 says all things work together for good to those that love the Lord and are called according to his service. And so from this, we've got to start finding the good. And there's a lot of good. I've had Christmas ornaments. Ornaments are in 3 bins, and the boxes that I saved for the Hallmark ornaments are in 3 other bins. Well, no, 2 and then 3 because the boxes were bigger. And I've said for years I was going to put the ornaments in with the box and then sell all that stuff because I don't need it. It's just wood, hay, and stubble. And so tomorrow, that's what I'm going to do, is sit on the floor with all these little miniature ornaments and put them back in the boxes and then get rid of them because it's not what really matters. And so we have an opportunity to do things we've said we were going to do, and haven't done. We have an opportunity to clean up our phones, get old telephone numbers off of there. I'm always thinking, when I have time, I'm going to clean this up, and I haven't.
I've been better about cleaning up my texts.
There you go.
I keep a million texts.
I do too, a lot, and
Yeah.
voicemails because I want to go back and hear them, but I don't go back and hear them. And so then I get a message that my voicemail is full.
Full.
And so, this is going to be my suggestion. In all the chaos and all the stuff that's going on, in your own little nucleus, in your own little world, purpose every day that you're going to do one thing. How long would it take you to clean up your text messages? Clean that up. Then one day, clean out one drawer. When we teach about organization, I tell them to take your junk drawer. Take everything out of it, dump it in a box, and for a month, every time you need something out of that box, get it and put it back in the drawer because that's something you actually use.
What if you have 3 junk drawers?
one a week or one a month?
I hope Jeremiah's not listening. He hates my junk drawers.
But guys, it makes you feel better about yourself when you do something. Do something, and then at the end of the day, you feel like I did accomplish something. I got up on my bathroom cabinets. Our ceilings in our bathroom are 11 or 12 feet. I don't remember which one I did. But anyway, and I've never dusted the top of the cabinets. And that sounds horrible. We've only lived there 6 years, so it's not like it's been 46 years. But anyway, I stood up there and dusted those off yesterday, and our mirrors are 6-foot mirrors because the ceiling, and so I dusted the top of those off. I felt like I am woman, hear me roar.
You are, because in my kindergarten world, that's whenever we cross our eyes like this and our ears and we go, don't see it, don't hear it. That's one of those things, don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it, but I knew it was there. And so I did it yesterday.
That's pretty
and it
awesome.
made me feel good. So I encourage y'all to do something, just one thing. It's not like you have to get up and tackle the whole house, but do one thing each day, and you'll look back in a week and you will have done 7 things. And that'll really make you feel good. And so I would encourage you with that. Sharon, are you getting any text?
We are getting a lot of text from people just saying they're watching. I see Kayla.
Hi,
Marufo,
everybody.
Hi,
and
Kay.
Emily Timian.
Hey,
Hi,
Emmy.
Emily. Hi, Brooks. Hi, Hannah.
Danielle is watching. Thank you for
Danielle.
watching,
Hi, Danielle.
Oh, yay. Hi, boys. We love y'all.
Gracie is watching. Sandra is
Hi,
watching.
Gracie.
Yay.
And Bethany Zapata. I think that's cool. A teenager is going to watch.
Yay. Well, we appreciate it, guys.
I
we
see
hope
my granddaughter Leah is
Leah
watching.
and our
morning.
babies.
And
Hi,
Miss
Carly.
Maldonado is watching.
Yay, Miss
Yeah.
Maldonado.
Miss
She's
you.
a rock star.
Lindsay Stanzak.
Hi,
Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Haven't
Hug the
seen you in a
boys
long
for
time.
us. I know. Are the boys as tall as you? Text back and let us know.
Misty and Kira are watching.
Oh, hi,
And
guys.
your precious mother-in-law, Rose.
Oh, hey, Rose.
Hey, Rose. I hope you
Patty.
see what she's made of today.
Don't erase the part about my 3 junk drawers, please.
Don't mention that to anybody.
Patty Tedder is watching.
Oh,
and
hi,
Tara
Patty.
is watching.
Oh,
Awesome.
y'all.
Love you, Tara.
Thank you so much.
There's just a bunch.
We
have
love
another
y'all.
teenager. No, Cecilia Ortega. She's like considered an adult now, right? I think you're all of
Yay,
17.
Cecilia. Thank you for watching.
We
Well-
just love everybody that's watching.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we're honored. We really are, and we're going to pray, and then let Alexis get started. And she has two full pages. Of course, she prints big. I'll give her that. And I just spit on the paper. Don't anybody text me how I've just spread germs. I'm the only one touching this. So we've got, she texted this to us last night, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is all amazing. So I'm really looking forward to us getting started with all this. So we're going to pray, and we're going to get started. And guys, one thing that I've tried to teach myself and people in Mommy Talk and in my Connect classes, if you don't know how to pray, of course you can pray in the Holy Spirit, but you can pray for God's will to be done. And, my plans and my ways are not God's. a lot of times. And His, I find, is exceedingly abundantly above all I could ever ask or hope for. And so we're going to pray for God's will to be done in each and every one of your lives, in your homes, in your kids, in every part of your life. And so let me pray, and then we're going to get started. Father, we come to you right now, and Lord, we just want to declare that you are a good God, and we love you, Lord. And we're so grateful that we can call you our Abba Father, our Daddy God. And so, Father, for each person watching today, Father, I just ask that you just bless them abundantly, that your will be done in their lives, in their families' lives, in their jobs, wherever they go every day, that they will be light and salt as they walk around this earth. People are watching how we're dealing with this, and Lord, we know that there's more good than bad. The simple fact that we get up in the morning, that we have a God that we know loves us and watches over us, all of those things, Father, we just thank you for them. So, Father, I thank you that each and every one of us, your will is being done in our lives, that we are protected, spirit, soul, and body, that angels watch over us, and the blood of Jesus covers us. And Father, I thank you that the things Alexis is going to share today are going to be tools that we can all use. Not just during this time, but in times to come. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'm going to start off just kind of introducing myself. I know a lot of you know me, know my family, but for those of you that don't, I have been married for 16 years. I dated my husband in high school. We're high school sweethearts, and so we've been together a lot longer than 16 years, but I love him very much, and we have 4 kids. We have kids that range from 14. My oldest is 14, and teenage years are so much fun. And my next oldest is 11. My oldest is a boy, Malachi, and my next son is 11, Tobias. And he's a lot more easier to deal with at the moment, but that doesn't ring true all the time. And then Allegra is my only daughter, and she's 9, and she is the ruler of the roost. She is just awesome. And then my baby is Trace, and he is 5, and he is so much fun because he still listens to everything Mama says. So that is what's going on at my house, and I have 2 dogs. And we are just having a lot of time together. We're normally a very busy family. Mm-hmm. We have the older boys do travel baseball. They are in every sport you can think of, besides tennis, I guess. But they are just very, very busy. Allegra keeps us busy also with her extra things that she likes to do. Soccer and basketball, and we are just on the go people. We keep a semi-clean house. My car is what we normally live out of, and so my car smells like a locker room and is usually full of some kind of sporting equipment, plus a big, huge bag of dog food in the back. So sometimes it smells like dog food. But we are just a full house, and I love it. Me and my husband both always wanted a big family, and we were very blessed with that. So it's been very different, like just being at home all the time. And it's weird because my husband just moved back from where he was working in South Texas, and I kept telling him, you need to come home, you need to come home. Like I felt like there was like a rush for him to come home. Mm-hmm. And I'm not really sure why, because everything was going so awesomely over there. But I just remember telling him, I think it's time for you to come home. And then all of this hit, and it was just kind of, I told him the other day, I was like, don't you think that was God telling me? And he was like, okay, maybe. He didn't fully give me credit, but But
that happens a lot.
It does happen a lot. But he has been home, and I think I would have already lost my mind had he not been home to help me through all of this and help us. I'm just going to talk about being a mom real quick, and hopefully get on the same page with a lot of you out there. my kids are in 8th grade, 5th grade, 3rd grade, and pre-K. So we are homeschooling. I'm a teacher. I teach kindergarten. This is my 10th year at ABC, and I taught like 3 years before that at Friendship and then at a Montessori school. So I've been a teacher for a long time, almost as long as being a mom. And it's just been a very different experience teaching my own kids. I was Allegra's teacher a long time ago, but she is, like I was saying a while ago, she's just my most independent kid that most people didn't even know we were related. She looks
Really?
nothing like me. She looks like her daddy. So a lot of people that were in her class didn't even realize we were related, and she's the only other kid that I've really taught before. But
How
now
did that work for you?
I loved having her because I got to see how her mind works, and it was in kindergarten, so kind of what kind of learner she was going to become, you know. So I loved having her. I never had my boys, and I don't know if I'm going to have Trace or not next year, but they're mama's boys, so I could not have kept them because they would have just hung on me probably all day long, and I probably would have lost my job because I'd have been whacking them away.
Well, let me say this. That's a treasure that they are.
Yes.
Because when they grow up, you know, both of my kids, especially the older one, says I'm their best friend to this day.
I love it.
And I do too, you know. I do too. It's special. So treasure those kind of things,
love
even
it.
when you're like, get off my back, or, you know, I want to go to the bathroom alone. Could you please wait and I'll talk to you in a minute?
Yes.
But it's
Well,
a chance you get to have.
yes, and now at Malachi being a teenager and he's trying to be more independent, I'm like, wait a second, this is not okay.
Well, get ready,
But,
sister,
yes.
is all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. He doesn't even have a car yet. Oh my God. But I kind of already said they have a busy schedule. And now being at home, I have been just trying to keep it very relaxed, and it has worked out so well. My kids enjoy school for different reasons. My oldest goes to school to socialize. He does not go to school to learn.
Me too.
And that's also what is so awesome about him. He is not like timid or shy. He gets along with so many kids, and it's a blessing. But it's just, my kids like school. My other son, Tobias and Allegra, they are students. They are studious. They like to learn. They're inquisitive. They're just very easy kids to send to school. Trace, he went to school he went to PDO, and he loved playing with his friends and socializing too. And at the first of the year, he was kind of hard to send to school because he never had a schedule because we babied him. But now he misses school, and he has been easy to send to school too. And so I realize a lot of people out there, y'all might be like, well, good for you, because at my house, we're having fights and stuff. I think a lot of it has to do with maybe the parents' attitude. Sorry, nobody turned it off yet, but I'm just saying, if you have a good attitude about it, then it will rub off on how they're feeling about it. And just to keep it relaxed, and if it gets overwhelming, something I have been telling my kindergarten parents in my classroom, take a break. We're not, we know that this is something no one has been through before. And so just keep it relaxed, take breaks. We have also encouraged our boys and Allegra to be going outside, being active. They don't need to just sit there and stare at papers or a screen all day. They need to have breaks in school. They have breaks also of, PE, recess, brain breaks. They need that also.
What
very,
are
very
brain
much.
breaks?
Brain breaks are just something real quick. It could be anything, like get up and do 10 jumping jacks, or there's a website called gonoodle.com. It's free, and they have funny, silly songs for them to get up, take a brain break, and then come back. And most of the time, when you're moving, your endorphins in your brain kind of let loose, and they're like, okay, reset. And it's time for them to come back, and they'll focus a little better.
I think we might all need brain breaks.
Yeah,
I
you
love
really
that
do.
idea.
Great idea. Actually, I think I do a lot of it.
Well, I
Anyway.
mean, it seems like I'm productive in the mornings, and I think they're morning people and night
Oh, yes.
people and all
Yes.
of that. I'm productive in the mornings. I have lunch, in about 30 minutes or an hour after I have lunch, it's like I can feel that I'm sinking.
Winding down,
And
yeah.
then about 4 o'clock, pow, I'm back and I'm rocking and rolling till midnight.
Yep.
And so I'm a night person and a early morning. But so you at school, you tell the whole class, let's take a brain break.
Yes, we take brain breaks. And I actually had one of my little kinder kids when we were writing, and he submitted a writing piece to me, and he goes, I miss our brain breaks because we get down, we boogie, and we have fun. But they do help, and it's that stuff like that that they miss too, even the little things. But
So like if they're home with kids, I'm going to be a mother of children, and I'm trying to teach them. And I'm trying to teach them, and they're getting aggravated, and I'm getting aggravated, and we're not getting anywhere, and we're getting real close to,
a tantrum.
by me,
Yeah.
maybe.
Either party. Yeah.
And so you can say, you know what? Let's stop right now. I can tell we're all getting tired, and let's have a brain break, and let's run around the house and yell or whatever. Tiffany, our daughter, texted me the other day, and Nate, our 15-year-old grandson, she asked if I would like to text or call him later and visit with him. He was having a hard day. So when he got on the phone, he said, Mimi, I stomped my foot. And so he was getting pretty frustrated. And
meant
that
business.
happens. And my response back to him was, I've stomped my foot several times.
Yeah.
You know, this is new to all of us.
Yes.
And it's not, you know, easy breezy for any of us. And I know that's not what you're saying, because, you know, kids are kids and adults are adults. And,
Yes.
But I like the brain break idea.
Yes, and even like for my easy kid Tobias, like for example, he will sit there, and something that would take him 5 minutes is taking him 35 minutes because he's also a perfectionist. He does not get that from me, but and so I have to tell him, get up, take a break. You're making this too hard. You know, it's not, your teacher did not mean for this to be this long. Like you still have to take a break, and even he is not figuring it out that he needs a break. But by me watching him do the same task for 35 minutes, I'm like, that's not, you know, that's just not what it was meant to be. So I will tell him, get up, go do this, go do that. We do also do chores in our house. We just have always taught our kids, even Tracy's 5, he has his own chores. So that's part of what I was going to say is we really, you know, try to push them to do what you need to do, whatever it is, whatever your assignments are, and then get your chores done out of the way, and then we're going to leave you alone the rest of the day. You can play, you can do this, you can do that, but we do ask that you do your chores, you get your schoolwork done, and that you are active for a while.
So do you have a place like they're all sitting around the table?
Yes, that's exactly where I was
Okay,
going.
good.
So I have written down that just to be realistic in your expectations, like what I was saying a while ago with the 35 minutes. If you see the assignment and you're like, that should not take that long, that also takes you getting up to look at the assignment. You can't just pass over the screen, you know, the iPad or the laptop, and then just let them loose. You need to be very careful and conscientious of what's going on. And even with the Zoom meetings, I love that the teachers are reaching out to be in the student's home, but also on the flip side, you still have to guard your kid's heart and from bad things that are out there. So anyways, I wanted to throw that little commercial in, but just be conscientious of what your kid's doing on the tablet, on the computer screen, and also just keeping them on task, because that's a lot of work being thrown at them. You think of a college student or even a high school student who is very used to taking online classes, they can compartmentalize and say, okay, right now I'm going to be doing math, and then later I'm going to be doing this, and that's not due till Friday, so I can do this. These kids that have been thrown into this way of learning have not learned to do that yet. So you're going to have to be the adult and say, today we're going to work on this, and then you're going to go do this to break up the day or whatever, because they don't know to do that. They just don't. And I do suggest having a place of learning, and that is going to be their workspace. We all gather around my kitchen table, but it looks kind of messy, and that's okay. But just so that you can keep them on task, you can see what they're doing. I don't like that they're in the room, on the devices for an X amount of time, and me not knowing what they're looking at. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so,
I know exactly.
So I just feel like that is what needs to happen is they need to have a defined workspace, and make sure you have around, whatever they need around them. So for Trace, that's markers, pencils, crayons, and yet he does have some work on a tablet. And then for the older ones, it's the laptop, the iPads, and Malachi even has his calculator that he needs for his math class. So it's a defined workspace. When you're done, you're done. It's kind of like an adult. You're done with work, you leave, you go home, right? And you're ready to relax. When they have a defined workspace like that, they get to leave it there and go on. So I think that that's really important. Let me see what else. If they are having a hard time, and you do need to set more boundaries of my son is always throwing tantrums or whatever. I strongly suggest an if-then. So if you get your math done, then you can go have free time on the iPad for 5 minutes or whatever, or whatever your limit is as a parent. But it's giving them if and then. If you do this, then you get to do this.
Does that work with husbands too?
Sometimes. I have to say that I have used that once or twice. But
Y'all don't have to tell him that either.
no, you don't have to tell them that either. But it does work very well for kids because it gives them something concrete to wrap their head around. Being supportive also, I try to tell my kids all the time how smart they are, or just kind of being a cheerleader for them. Like, I love how you worked so hard today, and kids really thrive on those words of encouragement. Or, I saw how quick you did your math. I'm so proud of you for checking over your answers. Like, not so much that they're getting them right or wrong. It's how they are working. Their work ethic is what you're praising. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
does.
But I think that that's super important because that will help get them through, especially the next couple of weeks. If they're seeing that you're seeing how hard they're working on something and you're praising them for their work ethic instead of, I have to be honest, I'm not checking my kids' work. I know that a lot of parents maybe are, and I'm glad you are if that's your thing. But to me, I want them to own their own work and their own ideas. So I don't always check their stuff.
So you're not the mom that does the science project for them?
Oh, no.
And it's very clear
No,
that...
Amy Alexander can attest to that. Juanita Maldonado can attest to that because I'm like, you turned that in? Okay, all right. But no, and I just don't. I want them to own what they created. On that note, there's also, if you are on Facebook watching, I highly encourage you to follow Destination Imagination on Leveland. For Leveland, it is a entirely different way of thinking.
Oh, really?
It's on the creative side of the brain, and it's challenges that one of my really good friends, Mary Beth Gregory, puts these challenges on, and it's an outlet for those brain breaks. And it's an outlet to get their mind going and have these tasks that are fun. So like one day it was like an acting task, and then the next day it was like building a mud castle, and then the next day it was building a bridge. So there are a lot of like STEM activities, but like just out of the box thinking, and they're fun.
I love that.
They're fun and they're really, I don't know, they're fun and they're really still, creative and stimulating the brain. And I really encourage those. And it's free. I mean, you just get to follow, and then you can add pictures if you want to, if that's your thing. But my kids also like to do that, and it's a creative outlet that two of my kids really thrive on, and they were a part of the Destination Imagination teams that competed this year. And it's fun, and it's something that they can even maybe look forward to next year in school if they wanted to try that out. But
Absolutely.
that was something fun that I thought I should plug in, because it is a building. It's a little bit different way of, hey, you need to go take a break, and I don't know what to offer you. Here's a challenge that would be fun.
That's awesome.
So,
Competitive kids would really go for that too.
yes. And kids who have a hard time looking at a screen all the time or papers all the time, which I have to say that happened. Allegra's first week of school from distance learning was all papers, and she had a mess. She is my messiest kid anyways, but she could not keep her things in line, and she just had papers everywhere. And oh my gosh.
Reminds me of my work desk right now.
Yeah, I mean, that was her. And do not open her closet, because you open her closet and all the paper, or all the, not papers, but clothes
Everything
and Barbies
falls
and
out.
everything falls out. But that was, it's just hard for kids to, like I said, compartmentalize and keep things organized. And we have to help them kind of get to that point, because they're learning still too.
Yeah. One thing that you were talking about, how kids learn different, here's a question for you.
Okay.
Let's say you got 2 kids in your house, or however many. They don't all learn the same. And some kids, they want to get up first thing in the morning because they are morning kids, and they want to take off and get it all done.
Yep.
And so then the if and then, well, if I get it all done in the morning, then I'm free the rest of the day.
Yep.
And then some kids don't want, their brain doesn't kick in till 10 o'clock.
Yep.
And some of them, it's 4 in the afternoon. And so how do you accommodate that? But even in doing that, when they go back to school, they're going to be doing it first thing in the morning.
Yep.
So you don't want them to get too far away from that, because then they're going to go back to school and say, I can't do this till after 10. So what do you do with all these different ways of learning?
That's really funny, because the next thing on my list, it says some kids need routine. So yeah, there are kids, and you know your kids better than anyone else, better than their teacher, and or as much as your teacher, I have to say that. But you know how their mind works. Allegra is not a morning person. She has, maybe twice in her life said good morning to anyone. And once was to Miss Sky Tucker. And it took her a whole year to say good morning to her, because she is a bear in the morning. She's just not a morning person. So she is one that I know she has to get up, and they feed their dogs and stuff, and then I let her eat breakfast and kind of just ease into it. The other one, like you said, they're all different. Tobias wakes up, he gets ready, feeds the dogs, sits down, gets his work done, and he usually is the kid who's done first. I don't know. I just think read your kids. They're letting off these signals, and you're just going to have to catch them. But they do need routine. So Tobias's outline for the day might look different than Allegra's, and even Trace's. Trace doesn't get his work done till the very end, because Malachi is usually doing his work on the laptop, and he's kind of my kid who his assignments are very different because they're sent out by the whole week. So he has learned how to compartmentalize, and okay, today I'm doing this, and I'm going to save that for tomorrow, and I just have let him because he's getting it done. Tobias, like I said, he's done. Allegra takes a little bit longer, but because she mellows in, stops, eats her lunch, watches TV, comes back. And I just kind of follow their lead. But as long as you're following their lead, and you know that the next day they're going to do it the same way, because then they will. Kids are smart, and they will be like, well, I don't want to do it today, and they do that even to their teacher. I can't. No, you can. And that's where those words of encouragement do come into play. So you have to say, you did so good yesterday. Remind them that they can. Just, you have to be that voice, and you want that inner voice to be the positives and not that you're going to get this done or blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, you want it to be a positive inner voice and, you know, and a helpful voice, helping them remember, yes, you can, and you did it yesterday, and you've done it before, and your teacher told me you did it, and your teacher's telling you you can. And I would even, I wrote down, rely on the teacher. You know, let her know, him know. My kid has several boy teachers too. And let them know, hey, he's struggling with this. What can I do to help? If you run out of ideas, that's what we're here for. And we miss encouraging them, and we miss helping you. That's, if I could say what I miss the most, it is the kids. It is our fun times that we have in our classroom, especially kindergarten, but it's also the tag team relationship that I have with the parents. And that's just my personality, is to be personable and have family relationships with the parents also. And I thrive on that. So I really I call my kids all the time from my classroom. I call the parents, checking in on the parents. Not so much checking in on the kids, because I'm watching them and they're talking to me through video, but I'm checking in on the parents. So if you're struggling or your child is struggling, that's where you have to be the adult and be like, you know, Miss So-and-so, we're having such a hard time. We need your help. Your teacher, I promise you, will help you, because we miss those kids. We love those kids, and we're here for you and for the kid.
And y'all have already had like 6 months to learn, or however many months school has been, to learn their style, how they do. And so where the parent is, you know, taking them to sports and tucking them in bed and hopefully praying with them and those kind of things, you have seen a totally different side. And so to go to the teachers and say, I don't know how they're learning, I don't have these skills, that makes you a human being.
Yes.
And you don't have to be ashamed of that. Go to the teacher and say, you know, we're about to have a near-death experience here. Could you please help me?
Yes.
You know?
And I mean, I can say honestly, I mean, Juanita knows, she called and checked in on Allegra. She's Allegra's teacher. And I told her, this is hard. The papers, like I told you, the papers are everywhere, Juanita.
Yeah.
And I said, we are, you know, it's hard because I don't have time as a teacher. I wasn't having, you know, the ability to check over her work, then help Trace, then do my online stuff and get supper ready, laundry. Like, I was like, dude, we're drowning here. And she goes, you know what? We're going to get you an iPad. And, you know, I know Levelland has passed out devices to help kids like that. And I told her, no, we don't need it. We have devices. It's not that. We are sharing devices, but we got it under control. And she goes, real quick, her and Miss Runkles real quick texted me and said, but if we can take one thing off your shoulders, she goes, you know, that's what we're going to do. And I wasn't even asking for that, but I'm just saying, teachers want to help.
Yeah.
Administrators want to help.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. We're maybe not in the same line of service as y'all are,
But we're all helping
but we
people.
are helping people, and we are servants, and we take it very, you know, very to heart, I guess. And we want to be helpful to parents, grandparents. There's a lot of grandparents helping kids these days, and they surely do not know how to work devices and, you know, whatnot. So if you need help, be the grown up, you know, just ask. There's so many teachers that just want to help and are happy to help. So I really wanted to stress that. The next thing I wanted to tell you before, you know, we get to the end and take questions, I guess. I have 2 more things. I promise I'll hurry. But for the sake of your family, is turn off the news and talk. Talk to your kids. Talk to your, no matter what age. It's funny because Trace knows corona. He can say coronavirus. And he doesn't know.
And he's 5 years old.
Yeah, he does not have any idea what that means, but he knows he needs to wash his hands. His teacher sent him a video of washing your hands the right way and all that. And it's something that needs to be said. I know in our house, it was the hardest realization for Malachi to not go not play, because he doesn't play, but to not go visit his friends as a teenager, we were just saying, it's super hard because you could go somewhere and touch something and not even know it. You're not doing it deliberately. You come home, you hug mom. I have an autoimmune disease, and you can get me sick, or you can get your Papa Frank sick, who is older, and you don't even know. You're not doing it on purpose, but you have to have those conversations. And you could see his little light bulb went off, like, oh, okay. But it's something they need to hear from you, your husband, whoever's raising them. Their realization. The realization on the TV is not their realization. Does that make? I don't know if that makes sense.
It does.
They definitely need to hear it from the person who's raising them, so that they do not. I don't want my kids to be fearful. I talked to my sister about that just yesterday. We were talking about Easter and things, and I just said my kids aren't scared. They don't even know to be scared of it. And yes, that's bad in a way, but I don't see it so much on the bad side as the good side. They know to be proactive. They know to wash their hands. We've lived it before. My son Trace was born very premature. We used to change in the garage. All of us take our clothes off in the garage, go inside, wash our hands or take a bath, because we could not bring in outside germs to a premature baby. So we have kind of lived this way before, but they are savvy, if that makes sense. They understand, and they know not to be fearful, but they know to be on guard.
Be
Yes.
wise. I
Yes.
mean, I don't think any of us, and if we're walking in fear, we need to guard our hearts to not let our children see that, because they're watching what you do in this disaster. And if you're running around locking all the windows and just panicked all the time, they're going to panic too, and they're going to think that's what you do. And guys, things are going to happen in our world. They already have, and it's always been that way. The Bible tells us everything isn't going to be perfect. There are going to be tough times. And so you're teaching your children how to respond in a tough time. And there's a big difference in being wise and all the things in washing our hands. And I made 4 masks the other day for Todd and Eddie and myself and Taylor. And I asked, how many of y'all are going to wear these? And no one raised their hands but me. But they will if it comes to that, for sure. But you have to be wise, but you can't walk around in fear. You just can't allow that to happen, because your children, it's important what they're seeing and hearing.
On the same note of guarding your children and just being, more alert, I did write down that we do have to keep in mind our mental health. And for kids who are not locked away, but in their room, constantly on video games, or just having a lot of alone time and more screen time, whatever that means. That might mean more TV, maybe not more iPad time, but more TV. That's not giving them an outlet to release their feelings or their emotions. And so part of being healthy and being wise during this time is talking with your kids about how they feel. And I didn't want to leave that part out.
Right. That's very important.
Yes, it's so important. And with the world we live in, and technology is everywhere, it is becoming harder for kids to express their feelings. So I do feel like it's something that you need to be talking about more often, and especially now, since we are kind of tucked away and having more time to ourselves. You have this time now, like we were saying, we're not as busy anymore. We're blessed with this time now to have these conversations, and I just didn't want to end without saying that part of it. They need that family time. They need to see you and your husband together. They need to see, a strong family front, whatever that mean, even if you are a single mom or whatever, if you're being raised by grandparents, whatever, they need to see that strong bond. And because when they do look back on all this, they will have memories of these times. And I don't know. I've been really trying hard to make these memories for my kids something like, oh yeah, I remember the coronavirus, but that's when we stayed up all night and watched TV with mom and dad and had popcorn nights and, stuff like that instead of, oh, that's when I got to play Fortnite for 4 days straight or whatever. I don't know, but it just means spending more time with them, talking with them, listening to them as kids, and your partner. That's the last thing I was going to say. I'm so thankful and blessed to have a godly man in my life and someone that I love, and I pray more for him than I do for myself. I love him so much, and it's just something that I feel very blessed to have, but it's something that I want my kids to see us being together, seeing us, we've been doing a lot of those honeydews, like you're saying, together, and it needs to be seen, and you do need to still set that alone time, however that may happen, but you need time for your spouse too, and the kids need to see that is an important, aspiration to have is, oh, I want a mom like that, or I want to be a mom like that, or I want to be a dad like that, I want to be a husband like that, I want to be a wife like that. And they need to see that winning pair come out of these hard times as a couple, as a pair. And if you're not a couple, if you're not a pair, as a mom, they still need to see that, oh, I want to be a mom just like my mom. She doesn't have, dad around or whatever, but look how strong she is. Look how awesome she is. She never misses a beat. And it is hard, but it's something to aspire to every day.
Well, before we do the questions, I'm going to do a little commercial for next week. Sharon found on the internet the couple that taught at Gateway last year that teach about SEX. And I've got a frog in my throat, so tell them about it.
The website is marriagetoday.com, and I always get emails from them, and so this was on my email when I opened it yesterday, and they're just talking about the quarantine time and the quality of time that we have with our families, and that then this couple centered on the quality time that you and your mate have. And so I'll just leave it at that because we are going to stay totally G-rated.
Yeah.
I promise you your kids can be a part
Yeah.
of Mommy Talk next week. Even though I think they understand a lot more
Then we
than
realize,
they
yeah.
get on.
Yeah.
But then that's a good thing because that is something that they have to look forward to when the Lord brings their mate to them and marriage happens in their lives, then it's not going to be, something they don't know about. So we've already laughed about some of the things they said, so
Yeah.
it's going to be really good.
Right. Well, I thought what we could title it was how to have intimacy in desperate times. But what we're going to attempt to do, and I think this is a God thing, because we do need to make time for each other. And by the end of the day, in these days, you're just absolutely worn out and a lot of times stressed out, if we're being honest. And so we're going to talk about how to have intimacy in a house where you don't have very much privacy. And we're going to do some songs with the kids. And I have a book I want to read, and that is a
excited.
favorite one with my kids. And so guys can tune in. We're going to use code words. I don't know what they're, well, I have said, I think they're probably having Bible studies together already. And so that's a code for something else. And so we're going to talk about how mom and dads can have Bible studies together. How about that? And so tune in next week. And Sharon, what are some of the questions you've gotten?
Well, I want either you, Alexis, or Miss Pat to address this question. This is one of our used to be full-time mommies, And then what a blessing. She's graduated from college and now is into the career that the Lord has called her into. And so she goes to work every day still. And she comes home and teaches her children at night. And she's trying to do it all now. And she just said, it's just very tired. The kids are tired. I'm tired. Help.
Yeah.
Yes.
And no one wants to learn at the end of the day. You
Right.
know.
But
So what do
that's-
we do?
I have a student in the same boat, and she is a single mom, and I would definitely suggest letting your teacher know your situation. That's what she did, and I can only speak for, what the advice I gave to her in my class, and maybe it would ring true, but I just said do a little bit every day. Whether that means, we're going to do 3 lessons tonight before dinner, and you do need to catch them at that window right when you come home, because after dinner time, I just don't see it happening. And I know that's kind of stressful probably for mom, because she wants to come home and relax a minute. But if you could just push through that next whatever hour, 30 minutes, I would say 30 minutes, but to push through and get a little bit done every day, I know that will go a long way. And as long as you're setting that routine for your child, like, okay, when mom comes, we got to do it right then. And still do the if then. If we can get these 3 lessons done, then you can help me make dinner. And then afterwards we can play a game together or something. But still use the if then. Still use the hope of setting some kind of routine. And letting your teacher know, hey, look, we might not get 8 lessons done every night because this is our situation. Right now, we are very, I feel like teachers are such great human beings. We have a lot of patience. We have a lot of grace. We have a lot of forgiveness. And if you're just honest and telling your teacher your situation, they will totally understand.
It's a great thought. It really is. And there's other people in our lives that definitely qualify to help out in some areas.
Yes.
And that thought occurred to me that there might be something she could assign to the person that's their caregiver
In the day,
during the
yes.
day, who feels comfortable with that, and check that off the list during the day.
Yeah, maybe they could do 2 with the caregiver and then 3 with mom, and then you've got 5
Yeah.
of the 8 instead of none of the 8. So definitely reach out. There's help. There's helpful people everywhere.
There's so many moms who, like Alexis, works during the school year, but in summertime she is in attendance to Mommy Talk because she's been in Mommy Talk's life for a long time.
You said 16 years, right? Mommy Talk? Okay, I've been here for 14 of the 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
part
I
of
think-
that she
I
got
think
to
we
come.
start in June. Is the 16th.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
My thought is, in my house, we eat out 5 days a week, honestly, and sometimes 6, sometimes even 7, depending on our life and what's going on. And so I feel like I've conquered the world if I cook 1 time a week. Well, now I'm cooking every wonderful, blessed,
I thought how you were going to say that.
delightful day. And it takes me, the night before, I'm like, what am I going to fix tomorrow? What I need to get out? I don't know how people do it that cook every day. It takes me an hour to an hour and a half to cook the whole meal. They suck it down in 10 minutes, and I try to make them talk for 5 afterwards. And then I'm in there for an hour cleaning up. And so 2.5 to 3 hours, and then it's like, what's for dinner? And I'm like, leftovers.
Yeah.
And so it is a lot for a mom that's working, and she's going to come home and try to teach 2 or 3 kids at night, and the laundry's still there. And,
never
they
ends.
still want to eat. That's the thing about a woman's job is while you're doing the laundry, they're dirtying more clothes. While you're eating this meal, they're going to get hungry again in a few hours. It's like this never-ending thing, you know. If you're a fence builder, you go out and build a fence and you walk away and you built it.
Yep.
It's not that way for moms. What's another question?
You know, can I plug in a commercial real
Yes.
quick? One big help that I have to say, I have to give God thanks for all the cafeteria ladies. You can go get a
know.
free meal Monday through Friday
Are you serious?
for the kids. Yes. If
Oh.
you're 18 and younger,
Uh-huh.
if you have a child 18 years or younger, they can go get breakfast and lunch from 11:30 to 1, I believe, at Capitol Intermediate and the high school, and no charge at all. You just drive up. You don't get out of your car. They bring you the car. They have masks on. They have gloves, and they're washing their hands in between, doing everything to be safe. And that has helped me so much because, oh my God, I was saying, you know, doing that dance that you were
yeah.
just talking about.
Yeah.
it's breakfast, then lunch, then turn around, make dinner. Like
Yeah.
it
and
was
in between be the teacher and the
insane.
housekeeper
Yes.
and the, sex
was-
goddess and everything.
Whatever you need, the dog mom, everything.
Yes.
It was crazy, but we have started, and now that's actually part of their routine. We live close to Capitol, so my kids actually ride their bikes and go get their lunch and ride back home, and that's one of their brain breaks is to go ride the bike, get out, get their lunch, come back, and sometimes they walk our dogs over there and get their lunch that way.
Wow.
But it's definitely helpful if you have not taken advantage of that. You need to, because it's kid-friendly food. Yesterday they had chicken nuggets and French fries, a vegetable, a cereal, and like two or three things of milk. Stuff that they like to eat that they do not need your help to fix. 'Cause
Plus, that helps out the school system and the cafeteria
Yes,
and
it
all
does.
because if they can't, they're at home if they don't get to cook food and stuff like that. So it's just a win-win-win.
Yes.
What's another one, Sherry?
Well, there's just been several comments, and they're so worthy, all of them, but I'll pick out a couple. One mom is doing her attaboys with Lobo Bucks.
love it.
No. Tell us
Awesome.
what that is.
Okay, so the Attaboys and the Lobo Bucks, those are kind of like, or ABC, you get a paw when you do your job, when you do the Lobo way. There's another one at Capitol, an aha moment, or where they're doing just amazing things. That's part of those positive reinforcements that you can give, to your son, to your daughter, and it's just that constant encouragement. And you can do your own system at your house. If they get so many tickets, then this happens, and it kind of goes back to that if-then. If you get 5 tickets, that's 5 more minutes on your iPad, or that's 5 more minutes you get to stay up, or whatever it is, and however you decide to do it in your house. But I love that. Way to go.
One mom who is Donette Hale. Hi, Donette. Thank you for watching. She is a teacher, and she said even though she's a teacher, they have family meetings twice a week on Wednesdays and Fridays, and they all sit down around the table, everybody, and they just talk about their feelings.
Love it.
So, that would help the little complainer type child who wants to talk about how she or he feels all the time. You could say, why don't we wait until our family meeting, and then we will be glad to give you,
The floor for
Yes.
1 minute.
Amen.
A minute, and then pass
So,
the mic.
I
love
just
that.
love
It's
it.
a great
And so
idea.
some
It
really
is.
good
It's great.
comments here. And we thank you so much for responding. And even after we're through today, if you feel like saying something you didn't have time, you're watching it later, we will read all the comments and take note of them because we appreciate every one of them.
I think one thing, it talks about in Philippians, so whatsoever things are good and pure, to think on those things. There's enough focus on the bad. I've always taught my kids you can make the best the worst of anything. And I think we should always have at least one meal a day where we sit down together, and that's not the law, and no one's going to go to jail if they don't do it. But I would make that a goal. And with my family, Easter Sunday, we had people over, a small group. There were 6 of us, and we ate together. And after we ate, we talked about happy things. Tell me a funny story. I'm working my way around this. It was Heather Walters and Reagan and Scott's mother's, Yo. And I said, tell me some funny things about Scott. And Yo laughed her head off, telling about he had an older brother. Y'all all know what this is like, that picked on 4-year younger Scott. And she told him, she said, one day you're going to get your comeuppance because he's going to get enough of it. And one day when Robert was, I think she said, in a junior in high school, he did something. Scott took off running, plowed him right out the front door into the front yard, and they went at it for about 20 minutes. And he came in, Robert did, fussing about her not doing something about it. She said, I told you.
That I cannot wait.
I told
We
you.
tell that to Tobias and Malachi because they're always on Trace, and he don't
used to-
and he don't back down, Trace, and so I love that.
Yeah, and so
tell him he's
they're
gonna
going to
get
get
y'all.
their comeuppance. And there was a guy, talking about that, there was a guy raised in the country, this was years ago, and his brother picked on him all the time, and he got up older, and if he's listening, he's going to know I'm telling a story on him. But they decided to play Cowboys and Indians one day, and this guy tied his brother that always picked on him to the post on the front porch, pulled down his pants, and peed all over him.
Oh my gosh!
You know,
So-
you just gave some kids an
I was
idea.
like,
Y'all don't do
Gavinius,
that.
I hope you turned it off. Turn it off.
But I just thought that was so funny. He finally had enough of it. I wouldn't have wanted to been around when the guy got untied. But anyway, you know, we just talked about funny things, happy things we remember about Scott. And there are people in your lives. I'm forever, every holiday, our family knows they're going to sit at the table for probably an hour after the meal. And to me, that's the best part of the meal. Tell me what your earliest memory is. Tell me, you know, ask your kids. I can remember when I first learned to tie my shoe, and I wanted to run and show that I could do it. Talk about those things. There's so much good we could meditate on, so many good things, memories we can talk about and remember. Guys, there's more good than bad. There's more good than bad. And you have an opportunity in your home right now to take advantage of some quality time that we don't normally have because we are running kids from this to that and the other, and everybody's busy, and we want to just turn on the TV or get on our phones and veg out. But in doing that, we set our family out. We set our brains out. We're not being creative. We're not thinking. I love those brain things that you were talking about because we need to think outside the box. We need to be thinking differently. And I'm guessing that we're supposed to be winding down here. Have you gotten a message to that effect? But I know we're supposed to be on here for about an hour. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you.
Thank
This
you.
has been great. It really has. And if any of you moms have some suggestions on some things that you'd like to talk about or people you'd like to hear from, we'd love the suggestions because our schedule for this spring has gone out the window. You probably have already figured that out. We're not going to the mud room, and we're not teaching on having a servant's heart right now because we can't go out and serve right now. But we will get back to those things. But right now, we're going to take advantage of every minute of every day that we have. We're going to live in the present. We're going to love.
Amen.
And we're going to do the things that are important. And the things that are important are far different from the things we were doing. So let's focus on those things. Let's focus on the Word. Let's read a scripture together. We read a scripture with our kids every morning and had a small devotional. And at night we had one too. And, you know, hiding the Word in your kids' hearts and in your heart is never going to come back void. It just won't. So we love you guys. God bless you. You take care of each other and remember the things that are really important this week and love one another. God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.